he picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him.
Hey guys, it's Franky. Welcome to the Think Tank. So I thought we better touch base on Bryan Kohberger. I said a little bit about him in my last video, but I thought maybe we would do a little bit longer video than a couple of little seconds in one of my others. So there's a couple of things. The one that is the most concerning right now is the fact that they have found identification belonging to one of the other girls in one of their searches. One of those girls, either Maggie, Kaylee, or Xana, it's sounding like. And they're also looking at different cases at this point. I don't know if they found anything that's leading them in this direction, but they are doing a pretty in-depth search or look over to see if there's anything else, whether it's cyber stalking, whether it's something along these lines. But they are looking everywhere this guy's been to see if there's anything else. So, and along with that, his vehicle has been called a rolling crime scene by some really good experts. So let's check it out. So here it says, Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger investigated for potential links to cases in Pennsylvania. And that's what I have heard. So we've all seen this body cam footage. So we won't bother going through that again. Pennsylvania's authorities are probing Idaho unaliving suspect Bryan Kohberger's potential involvement in other deaths, according to a vague new report. Investigators are sifting through unsolved crime files in search of any potential links to Mr. Kohberger. News Nation reported on Wednesday, citing unspecified law enforcement sources, Mr. Kohberger was arrested on the 30th of December at his family's home in the Keystone State for allegedly unaliving, attacking University of Idaho students Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, Maddie Mogan, and Ethan Chapin. A former PhD criminology student at Washington State University, and he is currently jailed in Idaho, and we are waiting for that June 26th appearance. He's not entered a plea as of yet. But the last thing we basically heard, and they're repeating it here, is he is eager to be exonerated. Okay, then. I can't see that happening, but I mean, there's always wishful thinking, right? And then meanwhile, back in Pennsylvania, they've reported they've been ramping up their efforts to link him to any cases there. Tonight, I can report to you exclusively that the authorities in Pennsylvania, where he was arrested, are investigating potential involvement in other outstanding homicides, said Chris Como during his News Nation segment Wednesday night. It is unclear whether law enforcement agencies may be involved. News Nation also did not expand on any of the details about other potential cases that could be linked. And prosecutors in Northampton County and Lehigh County, where Kohberger lived when he moved to the Northwest, previously said in February that they were looking for links between unsolved cases and checking after his arrest, for links between unsolved cases and Mr. Kohberger after his arrest. Mr. Kohberger, originally from Pennsylvania, was a student at Northampton Community College in Bethlehem before he went to spend 4 years studying criminology at DeSales University in Lee County. At the time of the February announcement, authorities in 2 of the counties said no developments had emerged. Your natural question is to start wondering, is this guy wanted? Northampton County District Attorney Terrence Huck told King 5, is his name out there? Did he do anything in my county? Mr. Huck said that the department had used Mr. Kohberger's height, weight, and alleged Idaho attackers' method of operation to compare with old cases, to no avail so far. In March, authorities investigating the deaths of all of these kids disclosed the existence of a Giglio Brady list relating to one of the officers involved in the case. There is an explanation of all of that in the Moscow, Idaho playlist. So under Brady law, investigators are responsible for disclosing exculpatory information to defense counsel. Meanwhile, Giglio materials conveys information that could potentially indicate that a witness is not credible. And this comes from the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. And we all know this picture of these guys, right? Maddie, Ethan, Zaina, and Kaylee. The scope of the list and the role of the officer in the investigation were not immediately clear. The evidence mentioned in the recent filing was submitted in camera to the court on March 24th. So they are also saying that airmail journalist Howard Blum, who is writing a book about the Moscow attacks, investigators in Idaho initially could not link Mr. Kohberger's DNA to traces found on the knife sheath at the scene. Mr. Bloom told News Nation that a knife sheath was sent to a very respectable lab in Texas that specializes in DNA kinship. It is unclear how Mr. Bloom gained this knowledge and of that investigative decision. It specializes in proprietary devices that made what it is called kinship DNA. Mr. Bloom said last week, you could figure out a relative of the DNA that you already had, and this lab was set up to investigate unsolved attacks. We know that 2 warrants were made public. We've gone over that stuff, and we know that there was a Glock 40, an empty gun magazine, a knife, a pocket knife, black face mask, black gloves, electronic devices, and more clothing items from the home of Kohberger's parents, where he was arrested. The family home was raided on the same day, and another search at his apartment in Pullman, Washington, which is about 15-minute drive. They're saying 8 and some, 15 and others from the crime scene in Moscow. The warrant from the Washington search was made public in January, revealing investigators seized a collection of dark red spotting on a pillow with reddish brown stains at Mr. Kohberger's Pullman apartment. A fire stick and possible animal strands were also taken by law enforcement. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Let's take a look. The rolling crime scene. I don't know how I look on there, but I'm going to do this and see if it's any better because something's off. So Bryan Kohberger's car is a rolling crime scene. Caitlin Becker uncovers evidence. Idaho prosecutors are collecting to convict the 28-year-old of quadruple homicide and why the Hyundai Elantra may be the thing that seals his fate. I'm just going to pop over here and just make sure that, I don't know if you can see me any better or not, but okay, so prosecutors in Idaho are putting together a very strong case against suspect Bryan Kohberger. Former federal prosecutor Nima Ramani, Jacksonville State University forensic professor Joseph Scott Morgan, and forensic psychiatrist Dr. Carol Lieberman have dissected the abundance of evidence against Bryan Kohberger and uncovered clues as to what else prosecutors might have in their back pocket. So we do know that he attacked those kids back in November of 2022, and that more than likely left DNA at the scene, as well as evidence of stalking. But the experts agree that his car will emerge as perhaps the most damning piece of evidence against him. What I think the key piece of evidence is that white Hyundai Elantra, Ramani said, and to the extent that any of the victims may have blood, hair, DNA in that vehicle is going to be very helpful for the prosecution. Morgan added, just his car alone is a rolling crime scene. This thing has been pretty much completely dismantled, and they're going to be using this thing bit by bit. Kohberger heads back to court June 26th, and that's where he will enter his plea. So it says here it might not only be his only legal battle. Authorities in his home state, as we just talked about, are searching cold cases to see if there is any links. Authorities have said in the past that Kohberger has no prior criminal record and so far no evidence linking him to unsolved cases. What do you guys think? Are they going to find anything? Do you think that there's going to be any other incidences of him stalking any other girls from different, I don't know whether it's universities, places of work, from schools? I still have a very hard time believing that this guy, this was his first go at this. I still have a hard time with that. So this is the one that I also find pretty damn interesting. This came out today, and it's talking about Bryan Kohberger keeping the ID of someone tied to the attacks. We've seen this. This is just Bryan coming in. University of Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger may have held on to ID belonging to one of the 4 attacked in the shocking November attacks. Bryan Kohberger, 28, as we just said, was arrested on December 30th, 2022, and that the 4 of them were killed in their off-campus home in Moscow. In addition to DNA evidence tying Kohberger to the scene, an unsealed search warrant suggests police found unspecified IDs in the glove box of the doctoral student's car. This comes from News Nation. And I tell you what, I would love to know where they're getting their information, because they're getting a lot of information. It is a big deal. This is a smoking license. Retired FBI agent Jennifer Coffendorfer told the network's Chris Como. Didn't get tongue-tied again. So she says, let's see here, Chris Como, of the possible discovery, which cannot be confirmed due to a gag order on the case. So, you know, this is the thing. We have to realize that although this information is coming out, it has not come out through law enforcement. So as it is, you know, interesting to read all this stuff and try and get a heads up, we cannot say 100% that this information is all valid. until we hear it from some kind of law enforcement that this is the case. But it is worth going over and, chewing it up and seeing what our thoughts are on this new piece. So just like the knife sheath was a smoking sheath that was found next to Matty Mogan with his DNA on the clasp, it's the same thing in this situation. Why would he have ID related to one of those people that were in that house? It makes no sense. I don't know, guys. I don't know. So Jennifer Coffendorfer appeared on the network alongside with Mark Garagos, who surmised that the ID find, if true, is going to be bad for Kohberger. Damn straight. I take some time and I look at this guy's eyes. Like, what the hell? Oy. Imagine waking up to that in your fucking, mate. Imagine waking up to that in your bedroom. Look at that. It's mortifying. This is him getting stopped. We all know about that. He got stopped twice in this state. And yeah, they're saying this is where the IDs were. I don't know. Trophies, right? And they do have the house boarded up. I'm not sure right now what they're doing as far as the demolition of this house. The family doesn't want it taken down yet. They want it after the trial, just in case any of the jurors want to go through it. And I think fair enough. So hopefully they don't have to fight too hard for this. Let the family have their way. The rumor that Kohberger may have kept identification from someone from the Moscow house emerged shortly after the news broke that police were investigating whether the Pennsylvania native contacted one of the victims prior to the attacks. Well, we know that he did. That has come out. But we don't know really to what extent. So what's being said, and this is just stuff that has been said. This is not from law enforcement. But what has kind of come out is that he did have all of these kids on his social media. He had Kaylee, allegedly, he had liked a couple of pictures here and there with Kaylee. Maddie, he liked every post, everything. Now, we've also heard that one of these girls, one of the three, was getting all sorts of, he was trying to contact one of them through social media. I just have a feeling it's Matty Mogan. I just have that feeling because I don't know if he would have known not only that Ethan was in that house, but would he have expected Kaylee to be there? Because she was not supposed to. She went there to show Maddie her new vehicle. And they went out. So, I'm worried that might be Maddie. It's bad if it's any of them. Don't get me wrong. It's bad, bad, bad regardless. But with this stuff I'm kind of hearing, it's starting to lead that way. They are saying that he may have struggled with the incel complex. And we have heard about that, haven't we? So it says, I believe he continued to attack a victim I believe a continued attack of a victim indicates that an uncontrollable rage and extreme anger. Yachmet said, referring to the accused's long history of interpersonal problems. We have heard a lot about that, haven't we? Look back and see, he was losing his job at the University of Washington because he could not get along with everybody. And they're saying that girls in particular. So we know that he was only about 15 minutes away from where these attacks happened. And we also know that, because we've gone through them, about the 82 pages of information that just came out, and before that there was 700 pages and something. So search warrants since the last month also revealed a trove of disturbing items, including a gun, several knives, the black face mask. We just looked through all of this. And the investigators also took from the parents' home following his dramatic arrest. So he has not entered a plea. That's going to come on June 26th. This is his apartment that they had gone through, sounds like twice. This is just under Xana Kernodle's room. Parents' house. So that is what they're saying at this moment. And what they're dealing with. They are trying to go through everything, analyze everything the best that they can, get everything tested from the best facilities. Everything's coming together, I do believe, as far as the prosecution is going. I don't know where the defense is going to have a chance. But hey, again, innocent until proven guilty. So guys, that is my Bryan Kohberger update. What do you think about the ID? Whose idea do you think that is? ID. And what else are they going to find in that car? Let me know what you guys think. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.